Yeah, so this is a very powerful build that Cat loves to do. One and all, welcome back to Midweek Muster. It's game number 2. Cat is leading against Louis MT. He keeps doing this every week, keeps surprising, getting these opening games, but now can he get the 2-0? Be a big booster, because it feels like what starts to happen here is Cat swings out strong, similar to me and Micah with an opening game, and then it dials back to 1-1, and then it goes the other way 2-1. So I would love to see him be able to get over that hurdle that keeps stopping him. French versus Chinese is an interesting matchup. I feel like this is close enough that it's just not an absolute win for one or the other. China can be very obnoxious for French. It's very hard to dive. But if a French player executes well without giving over too many knights freely, you do gradually reach a critical mass for the dive. What's very different about Cat, that's been talked about by Gully Decker, one of his early opponents actually, is Cat's very creative. He's a Pro Scouts believer, especially on Dry Arabia. So keep an eye out for that particular build. It's likely he's going to be going into Imperial Academy to begin, which is going to allow him to accelerate towards the taxation. And we do have another no Imperial official build from a Chinese player. How much do I know about building PCs? So I've built 2 or 3 PCs. I know a reasonable amount. I'm familiar with it. I learned very early on of a vast mistake. My father wiped thermal paste from one of my PCs and fried one of my early gen big boy PCs. Thanks, Dad. So yeah, I'm quite familiar with how to build a PC. We actually built one before a few years back. It almost ended in disaster when I was showing off the tempered glass and may have accidentally dropped it. It didn't smash. But yes, we'll be doing the PC build in December. I'm really excited. As we get closer, to show off all the parts when they arrive, and then talk about the brands that actually got involved with us to make it happen. And we'll be talking about them. Wait, we'll be talking about them throughout the month of the sponsorship as well. Cat. Whoops. Luckily, it takes a very long time to kill with a scout there. Could you imagine if sheep were like 3 HP? Oh no. The pain. Yeah, so what happened there is he was actually crisscrossing to shove the deer away so that Louis MT couldn't go for an easy mill play. But what actually ended up happening is he beat the crap out of the sheep and it skipped all the waypoints. And now because his timing is off, he has to come home, right? Because he wants to drop off the additional sheep and potentially go Pro Scouts. I wonder if... Yeah, this is definitely Pro Scouts. Look at the eco. 200 plus gold in reserve. I mean, you know, you'd think maybe this could be Song, but no. Like, he hasn't got enough food. He's got too much gold income. So, Pro Scouts queued up. Imperial Official is walking over now for the supervision. Remember, this is now going to give you the extra 20% food drop-off, but it's also going to accelerate your Pro Scouts timing at an aggressive rate. Only 30 seconds instead of 1 minute and 15. Other side, Louis doesn't really have to do the same. Louis going Pro Scouts would be genuinely just feeding Cat a win. You want to look for aggro, because you're the guy who should be able to get out on the map. Chinese is the civ that should not be allowed out on the map. How can we expect a sheep to follow a scout after being brutally attacked like that? So you're clearly under the age of 20. Definitely not over the age of 45. You didn't experience a teacher beating you with a stick to get you to obey. I didn't either, but I imagine that's why the sheep were still willing to follow him. And wow, that is... So we talk a lot about Wham and his wolves, and he tried to pan across to Louis and pin the blame on him. It's true, Louis is just as ridiculous with walling, but I'm not letting Wham off that easily. These are, like, Wham and Louis are probably the 2 most prolific wallers. Louis just finds a way to do the most absurd walls still. An idea, how about Swiss-style tournament instead of elimination? So I always forget. Remind me the difference. Swiss, you have Swiss and then you have round robin, right? Is Swiss the one where you play, the winners play each other sort of thing? I always forget. So, like, I don't mind the idea of round robin-esque tournaments, but it doesn't make any sense in this current midweek muster format. There is something I would like to do that is sort of like round, it's more like a round robin. It's a league idea, but it would require a lot of funding. So it's not something we jump into, it's something we build to. So Louis MT. I'm moving out for the deer. Plenty of gathering to be had there. And survival techniques already being perfectly primed there. But yes, I would love to do those type of formats. I think they are under-leveraged in AoE4. Maybe in 2025. For now, we're focused on the midweek muster. The challenge when you do league formats instead of a single elim as well is the prize money in a lot of the players' eyes. If you want to have all the top players involved, has to be drastically higher for them to want to do it. And I don't have more money, right? Like, we were quite fortunate to get what we got for midweek muster, as I am still a small but humble content creator. And like, it's the same reason, by the way, why we didn't do double elimination. Double elimination just doesn't make sense on open scheduling. And people are like, well, why do open scheduling? So it's accessible, right? Because, I mean, it's definitely content value for me, but like the other logic is for players, you know. I mentioned this earlier. If you don't have open scheduling on weekdays, you're basically saying the only people who can play are the ones that are full-time players, right? Any aspiring star who has a day job is screwed. So like that was a very big deal of why I wanted this open scheduling format. But double elim just wasn't viable with this, right? It'd be a lot of games for the prize pool size, and it's also just a lot of games to schedule. Like, Tune is already at the point where he's almost like Britney after she had a baby. He's going to shave his head bald and scream into a microphone, right? Because players don't necessarily, like, some of them don't necessarily schedule their games on time. So, we do have the ball play from Louis in this game. He's like, oh, just let me take another part. Oh, just let me take another part. I wondered where Kalp was. I have this sneaking suspicion that Kalp is lying dead in Louis' basement with his chest ripped open and Louis has consumed his heart. Such a weird approach, but I kind of love it. Spears are coming. Means that Louis can focus on just raiding, right? Knights are going to jump in. I mean, say, is this necessary? Yeah, because it's Spears and Ju. Cat is sending it. So now, welcome to the jungle, Louis. Whoa, whoa, boy. Whoa, boy. Luckily, it's just Spears, so he actually gets away with that. Meanwhile, the Knights are stabbing the backside here. Spear count, not that great, right? Like, Knights could actually embrace this. He might even look to shuffle in past him, Louis, considering it. A little bit late on the reaction there, though. So this is where Louis needs to consider going archers. And there you go. Double archery range reaction is coming in. He's got so many Knights just camping here, not doing anything right now, though. Spear count. Not great at home, right? Like, Cat, he has maybe 8 spears max? Yeah, he's got 6 here, and I think 2 more coming. So there's going to be some idle time. I think he pushed a little bit too aggressively before his time. In this matchup, you want to defend first, then attack. And it would have been fine that way, because he already has so many juke coming out, right? Louis' archer transition would have been way too late. And also, if you had those spears back here, you would have been able to protect the villager, building up the walls, to then allow you to make this play. Well, Louis just kind of getting a stay of execution as he switches into archers now. Did have to bail on the deer for the time being. On berries, not ideal. Great read by Cat, by the way. On a map like this, where both of the deer spawn on one side, it's a pressure point for a juke timing. If, however, Louis had had a deer spawn here and a deer spawn here, Cat couldn't really make this play, because Louis could just be very crafty and build a short wall here and stop you running around the back of the base, right? Even if you could run around the back of the base, it's just such a long distance. Swiss would be, let's say, 32 players, 1v17, 2v18, 3v19, 4v20, and so on, basically. So you can have unlimited players as long as even. Yeah, so wait, but they play how many matchups is what I'm saying. They keep playing the player afterwards, right? So it's like 1 plays 4, while 2 plays 5, right? And then you rotate round each round, if I remember correctly, or something like that. I always forget with Swiss. It's basically like round robin, right? Like, I can't remember the difference. Someone explain it. I'll look it up afterwards. We're in a game right now. But yes, I'm used to round robin formats in Dota 2, for example. Round robin into double elim is actually my favorite types of brackets. It's very time consuming, but I actually think it's under leveraged in large tournaments in AoE 4. And I hate this, like, well, you know, like StarCraft done this approach. I'm like, oh, cool, but why are we not trying this different approach? Like, you know, double elim, like round robin into double elim gets you probably the most purely accurate form of player rankings for prize pool concessions at the end, right? Knight's now going for the Bokim. Louis behind this has reward. We'll be moving back out to the food sources. And he does have archers building, but not a lot. It will not be round robin. Got you. Okay. I'll have to look it up afterwards because I always forget the format. So we're doing the dance so far. Louis, you know, what's more threatening here? Zhug upgrading in castle or mass knights? I mean, mass knights for Royal Institute is kind of undeniable. If Louis doesn't lose any, and we talked about this threatening detail where French can just keep scaling. And eventually they'll be like, okay, this is enough knights. I go age 3. Cat, if he goes 60 Zhug and upgrades them, they're still going to end up doing no damage against French knights when they get upgraded, right? So who gets more value out of the long feudal? If it turns an eventual castle, definitely Louis. That's why you're seeing Cat now push. Siege engineering on the way. By the way, I'm not saying round robin is perfect because round robin does have its own issue you have to solve for in your formatting, which is that you can get to a stage, depending on how you set it up, where some of the final games are irrelevant. Where like a team is eliminated, or the other way is a player will throw a game because they can get a better matchup by throwing a game. It's like there's an alternate form of round robin towards the end that can solve for that, but I forget its name. That's why, but once again, that's why I love round robin double elim, is like because what you can do there to stop people throwing games is you can almost like, there's an interesting format I think Dota uses still for a lot of them, or it did start using quite a few, where the highest seeded like teams in the upper bracket can choose their opponent out of the ones that will make it upper bracket. So then you can't strategically dodge. Cat now breaking in. Lou MT, speaking of dodging, he's at the point where he can't anymore. He's coming home. Archer quantity isn't looking crazy, though. And Louis, a lot of idle time being achieved here as Cat pushes in. Ram's now being built. I mean, Cat, we know him for these Ram timings. They're vicious. Louis is going to have to out-micro him in this engagement to survive. I don't think round robin takes a long time for logistics to get people scheduled, because actually round robin is you're playing all these games, so you can schedule ahead of time. The format where your opponent changes is what takes a lot more logistics, because you have to adapt, right? So round robin actually works better than that alternate format, even though the ultimate format is like better for discarding wasted games, right? Like this doesn't change seeding or whatever. But like I said, I think the best format of round robin is you just basically make it so the highest seeded players from the groups gets to choose their opponent from the people that would be in the upper bracket. Or the lower bracket, right? Spears. Now getting into those Rams. Cat. Looking bulked here, man. 72 Zhug. This is worrisome. I mean, Knights, they can melt quite fast against this. A little bit of a missed micro there. The Cat holding the Spears in reserve. Louis is still a double up on military count though, right? Cat 100, Louis at 55. And Cat has completely mismacroed. He's so focused on the micro of this, right? Because he can't get his positioning wrong for a second. He'll lose too many units. So he's just been gathering a lot of wood. 1,300 wood now. I mean, it's partly for the Rams, but kind of reaching a point where it's also just, because you're not getting into the Rams, it just looks like deadweight resources. So Louis' timing is actually really frustrating. Like, he's got a balanced economy, and Cat just simply doesn't here. Keeps pushing him back. These Knights just aren't dying. I mean, that's just depressing. Like, how many units was that? That was like 10, 15 Chinese units. And he didn't take down a single Knight. Finally flops one of them dead, but look at the military count now. 83 to 63. And remember, Louis does have chivalry, so if you wait between the attacks, you're just losing more. Brute forces it again. Should be a countdown to 22. He's looking for that all-in divine moment. Ironically, the Russian that should be saying Divine looking to go can't. Cat has to slow down and now go for a granary transition here. Meanwhile, Louis MT is on the verge of being able to get away with Castle Age. You can smell it, you can sense it. 27 Knights begs him to go age-free. So your idea of the lowest ranked player goes against each other until one's eliminated would only work if you do the staggered seeding, right? So like you'd have rank 30 and like 31 fight, and then rank 29 would be waiting for the next match after that. So you'd have to see the top level players super deep in the brackets. All right, Cat's gonna lose the army. This is ridiculous. He's down to 17 spears. Louis is not falling on knight count. And the archers are just picking apart so many Zhuge. Frustrating and difficult matchup for the Chinese, right? Very good when China's able to get away with 2 TC and hunker down. Really annoyed the French, but this Zhuge timing just didn't hit fast enough for Cat. We're going to need a game 3. If Cat walks away now, Louis is going age 3. For now, a bit paranoid, and yeah, you saw that he cancelled 2 knights. He's like, oh, okay. So you aren't fighting me anymore. Okay, great. I'll start saving up. Even now that you see this many Zhuge, you still just start saving up, I think. Like, your opponent has to reveal his whole comp to break through the wall. So you have to be feeling fairly confident about your position. Let's kill up a few more knights for now. Kind of reaching the inevitable point where your economy is good enough to push you there. And Cat, meanwhile, is trying to tech up as well. Louis just so on point. A lot of players in this situation will pull the knights a bit too far back, and the archers just get shredded. He's edging it time and time again, guaranteeing that these Zhuge never get a good trade. Look at that. They hit 2 archers, and then knights are back in again. The A-clicks would connect. Cat about to be behind a military. Knights are getting low on HP now. Ideally, Louis should be shuffling to the back, but it's a lot of micro to do so. Instead, he's going to brute force it. Archer's diving in now. He's pushing him back. Cat queues up more the Zhuge to try and replace the losses. It's keeping away from the castle age now. Louis starting to see a few knight losses. But this is the weird dynamic, right? Like, yeah, you can get rid of a few of these knights initially, but when the Zhuge mass gets too low, it's going to be a tickling. On top of that, Louis is gaining ground fast. Starting to approach the Chinese side of the map. Spear count looking underwhelming. Only 14 here, and the knights are quickly gap closing against this. And Cat is just too scared to go for it at this stage. Like, he can't afford to lose the remaining spears. The knights will just overwhelm. But what he's doing is just slowly losing the game instead of swiftly. It's actually really impressive when you watch a fight like this, because it's, you know, it's very right. It looks like they're playing a game of Pong here. I like how I even like done the Pong noises in more of a French accent. But there's a lot of elegance to the way that Louis is executing this. If he overextends slightly, like stays for 2 seconds too long, he loses 4 knights, 5 knights, right? So you really have to find that timing. There was like 2 or 3 times where he slightly overextended, you saw the number go down. But now you see the peel off we're talking about. When you have this many knights, you can afford to take even half of them away, right? Because the front line is so big already, it doesn't really dent your impact. And instead, you're now not losing knights, you're gaining them. We talked previously in another series about how OP healing is in Feudal Age. This is an example. You know, it's just very hard to reach that critical point with French because it's not a fast heal and you need enough units to make it work. Make it work, he will. Village is in trouble now. Cat even gets the shivs out for a second there. Spearmen are going to catch up. Louis will look to shuffle away though, so maybe 1 knight maximum lost there, but worth it for the 4 villager kills. Zhuge are pushing in. That is going to idle Louis off of the tree line as he does lose 1 worker. But now you just come back. Like, this is awkward. What's just happened here, Cat? That's a critical blunder. The spearman chased, right? So now the knights can look to intercept. Cat does seem to be aware, so that's the good news. Fortunately for him, Louis wasn't chasing that because if the archers were moving out simultaneously, that would have been a surround and a pound. He's looking for it, though. Fishing for the kills. Cat back up to 27 spears. If Louis really wanted to go above and beyond, he could splinter into 2 knight groups and hit from both sides, right? And go around this side here. At that point, the spears get pulled like out of position. The archers can follow east and west, and the Zhuge kind of like left in the wrong position entirely because of movement speed. I don't think we're seeing Castle Age, folks. This is going to be decided in feudal eventually. We do have farms coming in from both sides now. Remember the granary transition looking pretty good for Cat. I just don't think the numbers are looking convincing anymore. Yeah, this army's too small. He's dead. Cat. He overextends again there. Luckily for him, Louis is a little bit slow on the A-click with the archers. Unluckily for Cat, the spearman count is way too low now. Louis is going to look to constrict the base. It feels like this fight has been never-ending. It's such a cool battle between the two as well. Louis is going to attempt reset. Cat is too paranoid to go for the age up now. Like, when you see this many knights, you know it's death. Charge coming in again. I think you could genuinely just commit to the fight at this stage. There's only 10 spears. He's just playing with his food at this stage. He's trying to be as clean as possible, right? Minimize the losses. He's that guy who looks to finish the match with 0 deaths and whatever many kills and assists, right? Obviously, he has lost some knights along the way, but barely any in the grand scheme of things. Cat looking like it might be his last stand here. We're starting to reach into the economy now. Knights are rippling into the tree line. And we're on the verge of breakpoint here. Villagers are going to shuffle away. He doesn't really have the textiles to minimize the losses, but now the brute force comes in. Only 8 spears left. Louis has done it. The kitty cat will break. And now you have to ask, is the curse of going 1-up only to be 2-1 at the end about to continue? Louis on fire in this game. Just very clean and elegant approach. I mean, not the easiest matchup for Chinese. Can be skill-based in some environments, right? But I just think Louis read this perfectly. The moment Cat was getting ready for that age up, Louis renewed the assault that led to this. And that right there is chef's kiss. How you're meant to play feudal French. Keep in mind, both these players have got lag, right? Both, it's kind of fragile. The spearmen may be overextending slightly because of that, but also the knights, they're so easy to misuse them when you're playing on ping. Louis, of course, has had to get used to that, courtesy of the fact of how often he plays against Europeans. He can't get a Chinese server. Usually have to go for an American server. What a win. Knights now reaching the backside. Cat is just processing the loss. And the GG should be coming in a matter of moments. If you like this game, guys, if you like what you've seen here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. More games still to come. Maybe more from this particular series to see who's going to win it. I think this one's going to get uploaded, though. This was a pristine execution in feudal. Really cool to watch, actually. The never-ending feudal war. I'm going to hit the 2x now. This Cat is just processing the loss. That's going to confirm it. Louis MT gets the GG the moment age 3 arrives. What a champ.